Hello, everyone, and welcome to our product spotlight. This week's featured associate member is UVDI. Please welcome Victor Rocha, and we will be recording this session so that you may refer back to it anytime. Take it away.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mary Charlotte, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome on this Friday. Hopefully, and if you're watching this on video, we're just letting you know that it's a very beautiful day. I would like to welcome our guest today. Our guest is David Heidel. He's the Director of Airside Sales for UltraViolet Devices Inc., which is also known as UVDI. Now, David, welcome. And how are you doing, my friend?
Doing great, thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today and have the chance to talk to some of the associate members about what we do at UVDI.
So how long have you been an associate member at NIGA?
I think three or 4 years. I'm not sure, but at least 3 years.
Right. And so when did you realize that tribal gaming was something that was appealing to your company? When did that happen?
I started with the company about 6 years ago, and the year before I came on board, there was actually a project at Verona where we installed some of our air purification systems, and the feedback that we received from the employees and the feedback the guests were receiving, that there was a very significant improvement in reducing the smoke and odor. And that is really what led us to say that we believe the product that we had could really provide a good value in the tribal gaming market. So we started looking for other opportunities. We put a system into San Manuel shortly after that. And then we really wanted to learn about the real market and how the tribal gaming is structured. So we brought a consultant on board by the name of Steve Odden, who's been very helpful in really introducing us and explaining how we really need to present our company and how to work within this industry and provide the value that we think we can.
As I was doing my research for your company, I thought it was really interesting. One of the things that has happened in the pandemic is that a lot of tribes have gone smokeless. But I imagine with this pandemic, it's created a new opportunity for your company. Could you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. The products that we provide are really a range of different solutions based on UV technology, and air purification is one of those where I mentioned we did an installation or have done installations for removing the smoke and odor. But part of the technology that is used in there, the UV ultraviolet light, is actually a disinfection tool. And so these systems not only purify the air by removing smoke and odor, but also will actually deactivate viruses and bacteria. We recently completed testing on actual the COVID virus, and we were able to disinfect it in what's called a single pass. So as the air was passing by the UV lamp, there was a 99.9% disinfection rate. So very effective, and that's where we seem to change as you mentioned, some of the casinos moving away from the smoking, or at least limiting that right now, but very focused on prevention and other ways to do what they can to keep the air as disinfected as they possibly can. And so that's where our systems can come into play.
I know during the pandemic, one of the big selling points that a lot of the tribes were talking about was the amount of air that they moved through their systems, that it recycles some 5, 6, 7, 8 times an hour sometimes. I imagine this is something that's very beneficial for your company, and that you have a big part of that in keeping this air clean and stuff like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, the air recycling is actually what gives you a higher level. If you just visualize the air passing through a system, it's being disinfected, and each time there's higher levels of disinfection. So, within an HVAC system, there's a number of components that help in that disinfection, and filters, good filters. If there's anything I can say to anybody that's involved in HVAC, make sure and maintain the filters, and that gives you a very high level of protection against COVID and other viruses. And ours takes it to the next level beyond that.
Now, you talked briefly about how it works, but how does this work? I mean, the air comes in, it's recirculated. I've seen some of the articles, and I've done the research, and they talk about how you talk about UV lights. So you're filtering, you're doing UV lights. Could you explain a little more how this works and sure, why it works?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think all of us have heard of UVA and UVB. If you look at the back of the sunblock that you use if you're going out to the beach in California or wherever you're at, the sun will naturally brings in A and B, and that can be harmful to us. So we have sunblocks. There's a wavelength that's called UVC, and that does not make its way through the ozone. So it's not something we see naturally, but the UVC bandwidth will disable the DNA inside of a microbe. So what happens as the virus is going by the UV lamp, it breaks down the DNA, and what that results in is the microbe can't reproduce. So if the flu bug can't reproduce, it essentially dies off. Reproduction is what it's all about, transmitting from one person to the next and spreading. So the UV is actually breaking it down. It doesn't kill it per se, it breaks it down and keeps it from reproducing, and then that just limits the effectiveness that it has.
So how many tribal casinos have you guys been working with in the last, the last 3 years since you guys decided to get in the market?
We have probably 15, 20 installations of various products. That's the system I talked about that we installed in a large scale like Verona that went inside their air handlers. We have a portable unit that we call the VPAC SC, and it uses the same technology, very effective portable unit that can plug and play. It operates at 110 volts, so you can plug it and move it around. There's probably several thousand of those that are in both the tribal and commercial gaming communities. And then our air disinfection, which wasn't really a focus prior to the pandemic, we've recently installed systems in several different tribal gaming facilities.
It seems like this is the time for the UV industry to shine. I think that most people probably aren't aware the amount of use, and I know they're using food, they're using disinfectant commercially and stuff like that. I know the big deal right now is for in commercial travel to do that for the airplanes and stuff like that. So it seems like UV and protections is really the first thing on everybody's mind in health and safety. So how would the tribes contact you? How does this relationship start, and how does it end?
There's various ways. We've worked direct with the tribal communities and the casinos where they have a facilities organization that does all their work internal. Some of them have HVAC contractors that they typically work with that takes care of their systems. We can partner up with them. We have a full range of partners ourselves throughout the country that can also provide the service. So it's whatever works best for that particular location. We can find a way to make sure that we're getting the service and the product. And really, this is a solution. So it's a technical solution where we would have somebody from our team or from our representatives team or the HVAC company that the casino may work with to take a look at the facility and understand how it's structured, and then what recommendations we would have and what we would say would be the best solution to help with their particular operation. There's a full range of structures in the casino market. There are casinos that are brand new that have been built, and there's some that started from very small buildings and have been added on over a period of time, and their HVAC system looks different than the new ones. So it's very key to make sure that we look at the system and understand and can provide the best recommendations.
And obviously, being able to scale up and scale down is obviously a very important in tribal gaming. How is this working? What other devices do you have for the casino? You talk about UV light in the air systems. What other kind of systems do you have?
Our main focus in tribal gaming is in air purification and air disinfection. Within the company, we have a device that's a portable device that's been used almost exclusively in the healthcare industry. It rolls into a patient room, and then after the patients check out, or even in an ER room, and it disinfects. Very high power device. And we are actually looking at some versions of that could be used for other applications, such as hotel rooms and in various sections within the casino. So stay tuned, and when we have product available, we'll be introducing it to the customers.
With I think with the vaccinations happening and with more people getting access and being vaccinated, I sure hope that people don't start stepping back with the health and safety issues. And I think it's going to be even more important as we go forward that health and safety is the priority. I think when you go to a casino or you go to a place, one of the priorities that they tell you is, when you go to Pachanga, the first thing they'll send you an email to tell you how you're going to be scanned and stuff like that. But health and safety is really at the forefront of everything that they're doing right now. So it seems to me that you guys are in the right place at the right time, especially for something like this, and helping us with our facilities and making sure that they're as safe as possible. The next thing I'd like to talk about, I'd like to jump back a little bit and talk about your air purification systems, because this seems really fascinating to me. Now, these type of systems are the kind, like you said, you mentioned plug and play. So it's very simple, right?
So we have several, you mentioned just a minute ago, scaling up and scaling down. So we have in the air purification, we have really a scalable technology. We have a portable unit that can be plugged in and moved into any place you want. And the next level we have is a unit that can hang actually from the ceiling, and sort of from a CFM side, to give a sense of it, this would be 2000 CFM. A portable unit would be around 200 CFM. And that unit we recently installed in Three Rivers, and very, very good feedback. And that can go in various places throughout the casino rooms, again, depending on where the air ventilation is. A lot of designs aren't moving the air real well, and that's where the smoke and odor become stagnant. So these units can be mounted in various locations. And then the next level is going inside the air conditioning units themselves, often on the rooftop. And some of those can be 100,000 CFM. So you're looking at this scale, 100,000 CFM down to 2,000 CFM down to 200. And that's really the scalability to allow you to go throughout the facility and fine tune things to get the best performance.
And I think you probably know this now. One of the reasons why you see smoking so prevalent in tribal casinos, because it is a way for them to show their sovereignty, to show that they're different from the state around them. There's a real delineation when you cross that border. So smoking kind of has that effect on there, but I think we all know that it's really not the best working environment and best place to have it. So what has been your reaction since you guys started out and you've been showing this product? What kind of reaction are you getting in Indian country and actually in commercial also?
Yeah. The feedback we're getting is really been from two sides. One side is feedback from the employees. The management are what we found in our discussions. That's at the top of their mind as far as looking at putting these systems in, is making sure that they're providing the best environment they can for the employees. So the employees seeing the technology going in, and we actually had a situation in one of the casinos where they put a system in, they didn't tell anybody they put it in, because if you put it in, it starts to get people thinking, ahead of time. So they put the system in, and after that, the facilities manager started getting input from the team that was working, that something's changed. It's the environment's not as smoky as it was before. So that was exactly what the facilities team and we were looking for. So that part of it's the employees and the benefits there, and then the guest side of it. I know that's an area where there's often a lot of complaints that come in, is around that, and really the non-smokers, I think, who want to use some of the equipment that's in the smoking area. So the recent feedback we've got on the VPAC Pro system we put in, one that I mentioned that you can hang from the ceiling, was that non-smoking guests were now going into the smoking area and using the slot machines that were there, because they were machines they wanted to play and didn't before, and felt comfortable in the area. So that feedback, and this is feedback that came in through the management team that we've been working with there, and asking, what do they see both from the guest side and the employee side.
And also, these systems aren't just for smoke environments or just for they're for everyday use. I mean, obviously there's all kinds of air pollution generated from people and all types of stuff. So it's just very important, even if you have a non-smoking facility, to have something like this from UVDI, right? Yeah,
very good point. I mean, I didn't have really any background in filtration at all before I started with UVDI, and as I started learning from our our experts internal, the first thing I did was looked at the filter that's in my house, and
Right.
it was obvious it was the cheapest one you could buy. And there's a significant difference in the effectiveness of the filters and what it removes from in the air. So that's some recommendation I have to everybody. When you're looking, the higher the rating number, the better it's going to take the particles out of the air. So even in an environment where it's not heavy in smoke and odor, there's all kinds of pollutants that the system can help remove, along with the disinfection side of it. Prior to the pandemic, there really wasn't, we didn't even know what COVID was, but we've known for a long time what flu is. And flu has been one that has affected guests, has affected employees. And as it turns out, the UV technology is actually, as far as disinfectant, the flu is harder to disinfect than COVID is. So when we size up our systems, we're sizing them up to provide a very high level of disinfection against the flu. And by default, we get an extremely high level against COVID. So the system is going in now, even as we see things change with COVID, we see variants coming in. There's always the flu that we've had for a long time. We're going to continue. So this system can help reduce the effect that you would see in lost employment time, as well as guests who could be out from the flu. So there's long-term values in the system that goes in.
Well, and also as we know, when you're in a group environment like this, and you talk about the flu, and I think that's a very, very, very valid point and a very important point. It's another way to keep our environment, keep our air healthy and safe for our employees, for our customers, and so I think there's a benefit just beyond the COVID and stuff like that. And by the way, I happen to be an expert on dust now, since I spent an entire year in my office. So I actually know a little bit about dust and its effect. And there's a lot of it. That's what I know. There's a lot of it, and even when you have those filters and stuff like that. So I think we forget how polluted our environments, even though we might not be in a smoking environment, we're dealing with other environmental causes. And again and again and again, you read these stories about, and so I think it's very important that we are taking every step possible to create these safe environments inside our casinos. So could you tell me something else I don't know about your company and what you guys are doing, or more importantly, what are you guys planning for the future?
Well, let me give you a little bit of history.
That's a good idea.
The company was founded over 70 years ago, and the owner of the company, his grandfather started the business, so it's third generation. We're a privately held, it's a minority certified business. And if you look at UV technology, there's a lot more visibility today about it because of the pandemic, but it's been around for a long time in hospitals, in tuberculosis wards. When you look at the water side of it, essentially every beverage that you drink has gone through a UV water purification. And then even the sewage treatment systems, LA as an example, their sewage treatment has disinfection with UV systems also. So the technology and products have been around for a long time. What's new and what's in the future is really the applications and the places that the products are being applied. We were very excited earlier this year to announce a partnership with a company that manufactures a robot that's used in grocery stores for inventory. So it goes up and down the aisle, scanning the barcodes and does the inventory. And they came up with the idea of mounting UV lights for disinfection. So that's exactly what they've done. We just actually did some testing in store yesterday in a facility in the Midwest. So we see that as an exciting future. And if you think about all the places now that we can use this technology to be preventative from any kind of future infections that we might see in different viruses and variants. So it's really taking it and applying it in a wide range of applications. And as we do see, there's a lot of different use of UV that we've seen pop up on the internet and on TV commercials. And I would just suggest to everybody taking a look at those, understand that all UV is not the same. So it's important that you understand if a UV system is really disinfecting, that it's not something you want to be directly exposed to. It can cause skin irritation. It can cause what's called a welder's eye. So that's why our systems are internal or protected. So if you see some hand devices, just know they may or may not provide level of protection. And we often get very comfortable that we have a device and we see that it's just a new technology and it's going to work. And I don't want anybody to be going down the wrong path. So just be cautious as you're looking at a range of new technologies that are coming out. But no, there's a lot of advancements within this field too.
Yeah, yeah. So he's saying put down the Sky Mall catalog and don't order that UV light disinfectant. You know, and actually, in part of our pre-show interview, I thought you said something really fascinating, which was about, you know, when you're using UV light, you actually have to use a lot of it to be effective, and that's the reason why these handheld things and these UV overnight solutions are not really the true answer. Because, so can you talk to us a little bit about
Sure.
the effectiveness of UV light?
Yeah, yeah. In the scientific side of UV, there's a formula. It's called dosage, and it's based on intensity and time. So intensity is how strong the UV light is, and time is how much time. And with that calculation, we actually have a chart that has all the different microbes, viruses, bacteria that you can imagine, and it's how much of that dosage is needed to deactivate that. And when you think of an air conditioning unit, the air is moving at 500 feet a minute. So you have very short period of time to actually deactivate the microbe, the virus that's in the air. So you need a lot of intensity to do that. Now, if you have an application where it's a very long period of time that you're able to allow the light to be exposed, as an example, the other benefit of UV systems inside an air conditioning unit is it helps reduce maintenance costs. It keeps what's called the coil clean from building up mold and bacteria that you might have seen, and that allows the energy the system to run more efficiently in saving your electric bill. But in that particular application, the light is continuously shining 24 hours a day, so you don't need as much of that intensity. So there's a science behind understanding that the right level is there to be effective in what you're looking for.
Wow, that's really fascinating. And I think what we're talking about, the moisture, things like Legionnaire's disease and stuff like that, that comes from that type of stuff too, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, in certain HVAC applications, yes, in cooling towers and so on, where they have reservoirs of water that are sitting in the process. Yeah, within your home air conditioner unit, it will produce moisture.
Right.
I know even when I was in California in the middle of the summer, if there's any humidity in the air, you see it coming out the little drain pipe in the side of your house. You know, and that's just that's the process. Yeah, and inside the unit, it could, if the unit's not kept clean, that's food for mold to grow and different things like that. So.
Yeah, I apologize. So you know, at NIGA, we're going to be having our conference in July. So what are you guys planning on showing when we get there?
We're going to have a full range of our products on display. We'll have what we call our VMAX system, which is are the UV lights that are used for the disinfection. And we are working on a VPAC Pro unit, like I mentioned, the 2000 CFM. We're working on having one of those available. And then we'll have a good PowerPoint presentation that runs through a lot of the applications and locations and solutions and so on.
You know, I just noticed we have a couple questions from one of our viewers, George Joseph. He's asking, can that portable device be used with people present in the area? So we're talking about UV light, we're talking about disinfection, and I think that's a very good question. What is the safety for these?
Sure.
things?
So there's two types of portable devices. The unit that we have in the casinos, it's actually an air purifier unit. So it's designed to be in a room with people around because it's not open exposure of the UV light itself. So inside of that is multiple filtration technologies also, and then what we call our PCO, photocatalytic oxidation. That's all packed inside that small unit, and there's no issue at all with being around that. Our other portable unit that I mentioned that we use in the hospital, it's a full range of lights, and when it goes into the room needs to be shut down, and nobody can be in the room during that time because it's extremely high intensity, because we're able to disinfect a hospital room in about 5 to 7 minutes on each side of the hospital bed. So it's very, very high intensity because it's low time. So in that particular case, there's sensors on there where people would not be in the area during that particular operation.
You know, I've seen articles and interviews talking about how, you know, for hotels, that's the thing they're talking about, having these devices. They go in the hotel room after people check out, they can turn them on and stuff like that. And there's also the airline industry talks about having these portable devices that go down the aisles with arms that disinfect everything as you go through also. So seems to be, again, it's all really about making people feel safe about their environments as they travel to. Now, George also had another question, and George, thank you so much for these questions. What is your opinion on portable electrostatic spray devices in regards to neutralizing viruses?
That's not a product that we have any background in at all, so I couldn't give a good technical evaluation of it. I know there are a lot of companies that do have that type of product, and these are top companies. Clorox is an example, and they are highly effective from what I know about them. It was just about the research and so on that I use, but I'm not familiar with them directly, and it's not something that we provide within the company. But again, I think it gets back to making sure you've done your research, and the company that you're selecting any products from, you've got good technical research and test data behind whatever product it is.
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I think as we come out of this pandemic, I think everyone is now, we're starting to see the streets are coming back alive. You're seeing the beaches. I think everyone's been vaccinated, but I think it's very important that we don't forget we're still in the middle of the pandemic. A lot of the tribes here in California are still non-smoking. The big ones like San Manuel and Agua and Pachanga and stuff like that, they're still non-smoking. So, so what we have a couple more minutes left. How would you like to wrap this up? What would you like to tell our audience about your company and the future?
Well, I'd really like to thank all the people that we have met with and worked with in the last 4 or 5 years as we've started to bring our products into tribal gaming, and we really appreciate the opportunity to bring a product that we know is helping people 24 hours a day when the products are in operation, and that means a lot. When we see the feedback that we get, it's when you're in an industry like us, and I have a team that's been working very hard for the last year, and when they know that what they're doing is helping combating something like this, and doing what we can on our side of it to make us people as safe as we can. So we want to have the conversations with you about your facility. If you're going to be at NIGA, we'd love the chance to meet with you, talk about what you have, what you're doing, what we might be able to do to help you, and then in any way that our solutions or our products or our experience and expertise can help, we want to share.
Well, I like what I hear. I like what I'm hearing. I like the idea of the scalability. I like the effectiveness of it. I like the fact that we're creating a safer environment for our customers and our employees. We really do appreciate the fact that you are supporting Indian country by being an associate member and helping us to create these better environments. Oh, it looks like we have one more question before we, it actually, if anyone has any more questions, but we have a couple more minutes that we really do appreciate them. This is from Kenneth Mitchell. He says, how many cubic feet of air can a portable unit sanitize per hour? And Ken is from the Laguna Development Corporation. And remember, Laguna's in New Mexico, so those guys have been, ground zero for a lot of the COVID-19, the effect of it on the industry and the business and trying to get startups. So these guys, they need as much help and as many solutions as they can get.
Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to talk in more detail with them off the our spotlight today, because I think we really want to understand what room they're looking at, what their target. Are they looking at cleaning the air? Are they looking at wanting to protect against COVID? There's a number of different factors that come into what the real air exchange is, and these are the key things that we'd want to discuss, so we make sure that we're giving the right information out on what the effectiveness of the portable unit would be.
And well, this brings up a really good question. So how do people get in touch with you?
I can give you an email. It's David.Heidel, Heidel, at UVDI.com.
I also just posted it in the chat. This is Mary Charlotte. I posted Dave's information in the chat too, if any attendees would like to have that.
Oh, great.
Copy and paste it, because when we turn this thing off in a couple minutes, that information will be gone. So, but also UVDI.com is the website. UltraViolet Devices Inc. is the company, and Dave Heidel is the director of Airside Sales. And Dave, we really appreciate it. I thought this was a really good conversation. I thought it was an important conversation too, because health and safety is our number one priority as we're going forward and keeping our facilities open. So we really appreciate the support that you're doing for Indian country by supporting NIGA. And we really appreciate this conversation. And again, that's www.uvdi.com. Dave Heidel from UltraViolet Devices, and you can call him at the office at 661-257-4669. That is UltraViolet Devices. So Dave, we really appreciate this. And everyone else, just go to the website and we'll see you guys again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, David. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Bye-bye.